With that, we'd like to open for questions. We have a mic for the audience.
Yeah, we have a mic for the audience coming right up.
We
You know.
have some questions, and if you can keep your statements
and guys, if you,
questions
I mean,
quick, we can get a whole
you,
bunch of different ideas, a whole bunch of views.
yeah. I just want to say that try to actually frame a question, because sometimes I know that it's kind of we made a broad statements here, but if it turns into you guys also making statements, it gets a little like static. So try to make questions.
I just wanted to ask if you're going to be in New York as well, because that's where I'm visiting from. So
In New York,
yeah, I'd like to
July
watch
8th.
your film.
July 8th, we're doing an opening event at the
SVA Theater.
SVA Theater on 23rd Street, and we're going to have a panel afterwards with Sting and Paul Stamets
And Ganga White.
and Ganga White. We're all featured in the film.
Yeah.
So my question is about kind of the idea of time, and that permaculture takes a lot of time, and but information transmission is really fast. And so I'm just interested in your research. How do you think that relates to helping people have a different idea of their expectation of how long things should take? And I don't know. That's kind of it.
I can answer some of that because as one of the things we like to say in permaculture is we're on the cutting edge of a 10,000-year-old technology, and we base a lot of our decisions on the wisdom from the indigenous people. And what's happening right now as we speak, and many of you in this room may be experiencing this, but in my life I'm experiencing a lot of the coming together of the wisdom cultures to talk to each other and share information and share how we do it. So it might, like the way I look at permaculture, what ended up happening, it was originally around permanent agriculture, but then it really became more about permanent culture because agriculture and culture reflect each other. So in our culture, in the United States, it's kind of this extraction, I want it all now culture, which our agriculture reflects that. And in a more indigenous culture, it's about relationships. It's about, one of the things that I learned from Oren Lyons, a gatekeeper for the Onondaga Nation, is he says, what you call resources, we call relatives. And so what we're looking at, and with the permaculture people that I've been working with and stewarding, we're seeing that. When you work with the earth, it comes to you that we are working with our relations. And so through that, maybe Daniel's or Peter Russell's right, because when you get zapped by the earth, it comes in a shot, like a big, anybody been zapped? Maybe it's private. You know what I'm talking about. It's like the revelations happen around connection and unity and oneness. And so in some ways, people start getting really spiritual and after they do work with the earth.
And just to add to this, I think, yes, you're saying media is very fast, permaculture is slow. I like to say patience is the fastest way. So sometimes with certain things we need to be patient. We can't expect to just get everything. Everything is disposable and you can just drive through it and get it. And if you're gonna grow a garden or if you're gonna do a food forest, you need to take your time and have it. And the process is extremely enjoyable. So I think when you plant a seed rather than just like a plantling, it's a lot more pleasurable to see that seedling. And it might take 4, 5 years, 10 years for you to get anything out of, something that we can use, but it's beautiful. And we're living, one thing I think we should think about is, what are our roles, not just, for ourselves and our kids, but what is our role as foundation builders for a new society that might come, in 3, 4, 5, maybe 7 generations.
Question here?
Yeah. While I'm always uncomfortable with absolute certainty. While I'm opinionated, I have trouble with absolute certainty. I think a better world is possible, but I have some doubts. There are going on 7 billion people on the planet. My question would be, I don't know if you're familiar with Jared Diamond, an article called Agriculture, the Worst Mistake of the Human Race. Our health, 10,000 years ago, our health and our stature went in the toilet. And also, Derek Jensen, with the idea that civilization itself, particularly industrial civilization, is not sustainable, and it's going to come down and crash, or we could bring it down a little more gently. I don't know. I mean, I have my opinions about these things. So in light of that, I wonder, by the way, what to believe I found to be too certain about some things that I thought it was a bit on hubris, or at least arrogance. I had trouble with that film. I hope yours is better. I look forward to seeing it. But what about the idea that agriculture itself was very unpopular? The hunter-gatherers apparently were a robust, healthy people with a very varied diet. They were healthy.
Yeah, I think one thing you have to ask
So
yourself.
those two issues, and is civilization sustainable?
I mean, I think we have to be careful about, romanticizing tribal cultures
I
or
am
shamans.
not doing that, by the way.
No, okay. I guess I personally feel happy that humanity thrust into the technological age. I mean, I feel it's part of our evolutionary dharma, maybe, I don't know, to understand nature, to penetrate into the secrets of nature. I feel that we're going through a process towards a higher state of consciousness, and that this technological phase, this industrial overshoot, all this stuff is to me seems likely to be part of a process of an unfolding. And now the question is, what's the next stage of that unfolding? And for me, that's about conscious evolution, which is what Barbara Marx Hubbard talks about in our film. That we now recognize that we are actually agents of evolution. We have the potential to destroy our own life support systems, to end the human experiment on the planet. We also have the potential to, change and evolve our society and reinvent ourselves. And human culture gives us tremendous flexibility and creativity. So there I don't really agree with more of the negative people like Jensen and Zerzan. I feel it's too negative. And that actually we have to see that it's an evolutionary process, and I think we have to honor that. I don't think I don't even personally think it's about being against corporations or against the development of technology, but now it's reckoning with the situation, which may mean that in a conscious understanding, we might have to do nonviolent activism against BP or against the military-industrial complex. But it's not. The whole rejecting of things, the being against things, the protesting against things, that's very limited. To me, it's more like, what's the advance? What's the rallying towards the better state that I think many of us really feel, in our hearts, we feel it's possible, that we have the capacity to come back into balance.
Can't we have technology without corporations? I'm a techno
Sure.
freak.
Yeah, for sure.
If it works, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think also, we don't, like in many ways, we don't know if we're going to be, if we're all going to survive and, what's going to happen. But instead of like being numbed and like, just accept, that we're doomed, it's much more interesting to do stuff that is positive. It's much more interesting and makes life a lot more pleasurable as well. So there's simple things just like that. It's like we can get, sunk down in pessimism, or we can take a proactive approach and start changing ourselves, our communities, and hopefully the world.
Well, then also, if you have experiences, I mean, one probably a more controversial element of the film is we talk about shamanism and psychedelic substances, which is a subject that I explored in more depth in my books. And my personal belief from a lot of different types of experiences is that the soul is not just limited to this body, and I think that you can actually have experiences that pretty much demonstrate that to you, that there's a spirit that goes on and continues in different forms. So that gives you a much larger context. It's not all just about like this life and what do I have to accomplish here, and there's a larger unfolding, of the human spirit that that's taking place.